I want to look at how this system has attempted to try to alienate fathers, to demean fathers, to emasculate fathers. Today, as we celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary, I was sharing with my Isha that it's Shabbat. It is Shabbat. But we're thankful and grateful for having 20 years. Didn't think we would make it 20 days, let alone 20 years. And as I kind of shared with her, I said that, we always talk about the physical, the spiritual parallel. Well, marriage is the physical parallel to the spiritual parallel of Yah being married to Israel. And Yah has given us the greatest demonstration. Once again, Father knows best. He has given us the greatest demonstration of this relationship. He has went above and beyond. He has done marvelous in his sight. He's done marvelous in our sight. So last Shabbat, we weren't here. We went to go fellowship with a group in Savannah. We had an awesome time. It was insightful. It was good to see other people who are attempting to follow Yah. Then we went to spend some time with our children and our grandchildren. And we made it home safely, praise Yah. Because of the movements and so forth and so on, we just rested. We did not conduct service on Shabbat, last Shabbat. So we want to kind of bring us forward from where we left off last Shabbat. But in the midst of the last time we were together and now, there has been some very strange situations. And the irony of strange situations being this reveal of these Epstein files, or lack of Epstein files. 2 Shabbats ago, we talked about what is knowledge. And one of the things that we spoke about was the importance of truth. Truth is essential to knowledge. It is essential. If someone believes something that is false, even with good reason, we wouldn't say they know it. They only believe it. So, if I am here and I tell you that the scriptures are sitting on my desk, nobody here can see it. I don't even think Maisha can see it. She knows they're there. Oh, she can see it. Okay. She can see part of it. Okay. But for you who are watching online, you who don't have the angle, right? You have to take my word for it. And if I'm a reputable or supposed to be a reputable person, if I tell you that the scriptures are sitting on my desk, then you're going to believe it. The question being, except for those who can see it, is it the truth? You know something because you were told something. But is it true? Because truth is essential to knowledge. Now watch this. Belief without truth, without the emat, equals not knowledge, even if it's justified. Truth without belief does not equal knowledge. If you don't believe it, you don't know it. So truth and belief go hand in hand. We had that little song, I forgot the song, but when truth comes, belief comes walking, the first one does the talking, whatever, right? But truth and belief without justification does not equate to knowledge. It can be just a lucky guess. So the Attorney General of the United States made a statement. The Epstein files were sitting on her desk. They were. A couple months ago, they were sitting on her desk when Trump ordered the release of those documents because of all the shady stuff that's surrounding this individual. Belief, it equates to the person thinks that the statement is true. Why? Because the Attorney General, somebody who was supposed to be reputable and someone who has authority, stated that they have the file on their desk. Truth, the statement is actually true. Justification, the person has good reason or evidence to believe what is said is true. Okay? A couple months ago, she said the file was sitting on her desk. Yesterday, they said there is no file. For those of you who can't see, the scriptures are sitting on my desk. They're here. And I can go to those scriptures and I can read. It's justified. Why? Because you have evidence that they're on the desk. I just showed you. I just put them back down on the desk. That the statement is actually true. And people think that the statement is true. Why? Now because you have evidence, your belief, your justification equates to truth. In everyday terms, what they believe is actually true. They believe it. Excuse me. And they have good reason for believing it. Why? Someone who is supposed to be reputable, who is speaking from a position of authority, who has authority to have said documents, said that the documents were sitting on their desk. Were they confused or were they lying? And for those of us who believed what she said was true, do we know it? No, we don't know it, because one, we didn't see it. Some of us, we didn't believe it, right? But thirdly, we had no evidence. So what has come to be is that we have now come to find that this person who's supposed to be reputable, this person who's supposed to have authority, is a liar. There's a collusion going on. Okay? So, question. What if what they believe is false, or they only guess correctly? We wouldn't say that they truly know it. Right? In Torah, knowledge of Yah, Da'at Elohim, is primarily about a factual or philosophical understanding about relationship and devotion. Told you, spiritual, the physical parallel, that which is not seen. He gives us the physical parallel so that we who are physical beings can see it, making it empirical. It lines up. It's truth. You believe it. There's evidence. Right? The word, we talked about this a couple Shabbats ago, for to know is yada. Yada, to know. And it implies a intimacy, a personal connection, and more importantly, loyalty. Does that not sum up marriage? Does that not equate to relationship in the physical to the spiritual? Came in today into the tabernacle, and I was given explicit instructions. The explicit instructions were, don't do this. You need to go over here and turn on the electric in the pulpit area, and then turn on the computer. Do that first, and then go do whatever else you need to do. So, being the good Ben, the good son that I am, I followed instructions. I went, did adjustments and whatever stuff that we needed, and came back to sit at the desk. And all I could do was laugh. Why? Because Father knows best. Father knew that there were things that were going to be occurring, updates and stuff with the computer, that would have frustrated me and made me have to wait while it was updating. But because Father knows best, He instructed me to come here first, so that while I was doing other things, the updates could be updating and working. And in that, because of that, my time was well managed And all I could do was laugh, because Abba knew what I didn't know. He knew. And people, listen, people can say whatever they want to say about what they believe and what they do and what they see, and we're going to talk about this, right? But I'm telling you, for me, what's his name? John P. Key had a song. He's real. I know. I know him personally, right? Listen, my Isha, if she would, not putting her on the spot, like, tell you, like, she was so tired of me, she left, came back. Yeah, listen, I told you, didn't think we were going to make it 20 days, let alone 20 years. Come on, y'all don't want to talk to me, right? But Yah knows best. Okay, let me move on. Let me move on. I guess the question is, who can say that they know Yah? Right? Like a father and a son, a father-daughter relationship would be an intimate relationship. Would it or would it not be? Right? Those in covenant, according to Torah, those who enter into covenant relationship, because this is a covenant relationship. We made a covenant with one another. We made a covenant with Yah. We were at the conference last week, and I said to the family was sitting next to me. I was sharing with the Isha, the threefold cord is not quickly broken, and that's you and Yah in the middle, and your husband, right? See, and what has happened is now the state has come in and they want to be the threefold cord. You got to know who he is and who they are, and they're not for us. And let me throw this out there for all y'all. Listen, whoever might be listening, right? We're not anti-government. We're not. We just have a higher government. We answer to a higher authority, just like the Hebrew National. We answer to a higher authority. Come on, y'all don't want to talk to me. Hurt my wrist a few months back. Abba said to me last night, son, this been going on for a long time. Let me help you out. See, right there on the dresser, right there, that tube right there. Grab that tube and lube it up. And I have. And granted, it's not 100%. Did this last night, but I'm telling you, it feels better. It's still a little tender, but it feels better than it has in months. Like yesterday, I was at chair yoga and we were doing exercise like this, and I could barely do it with this one. I could do it fine with this one. This one wasn't the problem. This was the problem. But look at it here. You know what I'm saying? See, Father knows better. Come on, y'all don't want to talk to me. So those in covenant, according to Torah, are those who enter into covenant relationship with Elohim, and that beginning with Abraham, continuing with Moshe and Israel at Mount Sinai, are those who claim to Yada Yah. Okay, they Yada, they know Yah intimately, right? But it's not just about covenant. It's also about commandments. Those who follow Yah's commandments, the knowledge of Yah is demonstrated by living according to his laws, right? His commands and teachings as given in Torah. Abraham, as an example, is described as knowing Yah, right? Because he obeyed Yah. Not only did he obey Yah, but his commandments, his statutes, and his laws. Living according to Torah is the strongest evidence of relationship and knowing Yah. Relationship and devotion emphasizes the knowledge of Yah. The witness of creation in Tehillim 119 teaches that one can know about Elohim through observing creation. And that's what we're going to go into today, right? But to know Yah personally requires receiving and following his commandments. So when you're looking at knowledge, you have to, one, consider the source of knowledge, covenant, revelation, and commandments. And then the evidence and verification. What would be the evidence and the verification of Yada Yah? It would be obedience, it would be devotion, and it would be ethical living. We talked about empirical evidence. In scientific terms, verifiable. I gotta use this because I gotta make sure I got my education worth of learning about empirical evidence. My professor would be really proud. Whatever his name was. I remember what he taught me, but don't remember who taught me. All right. In scientific terms, verification of facts are those that can be observed, measured, tested by others. However, claims about Elohim typically do not rest on empirical evidence, as Elohim is generally conceived as a non-physical, transcendent being. But in the empirical evidence, the spiritual to physical parallel demonstrates. See, and this is why knowledge has to be based off of what the Creator says and not what the creation says, right? Trying to fit Yah into empirical evidence does not work. Why? He's not empirical. He created us. We didn't create him. Come on, y'all don't want to talk to me. Physiological arguments. Many who claim the knowledge of Elohim rely on philosophical reasoning rather than empirical facts. And granted, we're going to get into that. Religious experiences, some claim the knowledge of Elohim based on personal or collective religious experiences, but such experiences are subjective and not publicly verified. All right? One thing that we have to understand is consistency and coherence. Demonstrating that belief in Elohim provides a coherent explanation for the existence and nature of the universe, morality, or conscience. So question, how do we get the consistency? How do we get coherence? I'm glad y'all asked. Y'all ask good questions. That's why I like coming here to Bethel Ministries, because y'all ask good questions. Hallelujah. Last Shabbat, we were in the book of Ya'ob chapter 38, verse number 1. Then Yahuwah answered Ya'ob, out of the whirlwind and said. Now we told you, Ya'ob means hated, persecuted. So in essence, the things that Ya'ob was going through were fulfilling his namesake. And granted, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know if I could have went through what Ya'ob went through. But I believe I'm having my own Ya'ob situation. Hallelujah. So, Ya'ob was going through. And Ya'ob had questions. And it took Abba Yah to answer Ya'ob out of the whirlwind and say, verse 2, who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Who is it? Right? Ha-Satan and his minions who appear even as what? Angels of light, ministers of light. Right? They appear. Right? And in this they darken counsel with words without knowledge. Right? Now, watch this. Without Bali, right? It means failure, that is nothing, or destruction. Usually, it's a preposition. Without, not yet, because not, as long as. Okay? Alright. So, they darken counsel by words without knowledge, or failure to give knowledge. Does not mean that the one who is giving counsel does not have knowledge. They have the knowledge, but they are not giving that knowledge to you in their words. There's a word. There's two words. Okay. There's two words. There's esoteric and exoteric. Okay? Esoteric is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with specialized knowledge or interests. That's esoteric. Okay? So, esoteric. So, if esoteric is designed for a small amount of people, right? With specialized knowledge. What do you think exoteric means? Exoteric, especially of a doctrine, a mode of speech. A mode of speech. What is speech? Words. Right? Intended for or likely to be understood by the general public. All right, let's go back. Let's go back. Esoteric is intended for or likely to be understood by only a small number of people with a specialized knowledge or interest. A small amount of people with specialized knowledge. Once again, the esoteric knowledge, they have the knowledge, but then they turn it to exoteric for everybody else. Right? Does everybody understand this? Everybody comprehend where we're going with this? Especially of a doctrine or mode of speech intended for or likely to be understood by the general public, by the masses. Those who have esoteric knowledge give exoteric to the general population. Why? Because they want to keep us dumbed down. So they darken counsel by words without knowledge. So without knowledge, right, does not mean they don't have esoteric knowledge. They are withholding certain knowledge to give to us, to keep us defiled, disobedient, right? Broke, enslaved, right? Chattel, right? These people, right, darkeneth counsel by words, spells, casting spells, right? Certain words have certain meanings, right? That you're casting a spell on yourself by speaking these things, right? Without knowledge. Excuse me. Yah says, verse 3, gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee an answer thou me. Okay? So, this exoteric knowledge that you have, what you think you know, ain't the truth. Because you don't have the whole picture. The scripture's on the desk. Well, some of y'all can't see the desk. Right? But here they are. Right here. Here they go. Right? They're on the desk. Right? Verifiable truth. So he says, gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee an answer thou me. It's quiz time, y'all. Verse 4. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Where were you at? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Right? Bana, understanding. Right? Where were you at? Right? Verse 5. Who have laid the measure thereof, if thou knowest? Or who have stretched the line upon it? You think you know something. You don't know nothing. Because Yah is going to make you a liar. Verse 6. Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? How is the world fastened in quote-unquote space? You know, I was looking at something the other day. And they did a I guess a parse on Bereshith chapter 1, and it says, verse 2, it says, And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. The Mayim, the waters, dual of a primitive noun, right? But used in a singular sense. Water, figuratively juice, right? Urine, semen. Okay. So it says waters. Verse 6. I think it was more so verse 6. And Elohim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Right? Okay? The waters from the waters. The waters, plural. So, I was in the pool with my daughter, my son-in-law, and the grandkids. And so basically, my daughter and the grandkids were in rafts. So question, what was the rafts doing? Floating on the waters. So what is Earth doing? It's floating on the waters. Just like a I don't want to say a ball, because the donuts or whatever, right? They weren't round, but there was some balls in the pool and they floated too. But these were like flat, circular tubes, floating tubes. And the Earth is floating. So if you could, I don't know if y'all can see this, right? But got a bottle of water. Okay? Now, this ain't exactly round. Okay? But it's oblong. So when I move, the water moves. And what does it do? It levels. It is level. Wherever it goes, it levels out. Okay? Is there a dome on top? Yeah, he said there's a firmament. Right? I think I read that somewhere. Firmament. Right? An expanse. A firmament. A visible arch of the sky. So when you see a rainbow, what does a rainbow do? It arches. Right? It goes up and over and down. And it stops. Why? Because it's flat. The waters are flat. They're level. Wherever it goes, the water, I just showed you, the water is level. Right? Okay. But we want to listen to NASA and all of these people, all these liars, right? Who want to tell us what Father knows best. I guess the question I need to ask us today is, why does Father know best? Because he created it. Ain't nobody else claiming this. Right? He's asking. Like, I can hear him ask NASA right now. Like, yo, where was thou when I laid the foundations? Where were y'all at? Right? Right, 35. Who has laid the measurements thereof, if thou knowest? Or who has stretched the line upon it? Verse 6. Whereupon are the foundations? thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? Okay? Verse 7. When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of Elohim shouted for joy. Where were you? Verse 8. Or who shut up the sea with doors when it broke forth, as if it had issued out of the womb? Verse 9. When I made the cloud the garment thereof, the thick darkness a swaddling band for it. 10. And broke up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors. Verse 11. And said hitherto, shall thou come, but no further, and here shall thou pride waves be stayed. So, let me stop right here for just a minute. I want to address this, okay? In Texas, +100 people lost their life. In a tragic event. In that, people lost their life. It was a tragic event, very tragic event. In that, some people might blame Yah. Doesn't necessarily mean that he did it. He may have permitted it. But what you have to understand is this. Satan has said in his heart that he would be like the Most High. In Yeshayahu, verse 10, 14 and 10, it reads thusly. It says, all of them respond and say to you, have you also became as weak as we? Have you become like us? Verse 11, your arrogance has been brought down to the grave, and the sound of your stringed instruments, the maggot is spread under you, and worms cover you. Verse 12, how have you fallen from the heaven, O Helios, son of the morning? You have been cut down to the ground, you who lay low the Gentiles. Verse 13, for you have said in your heart, let me go up to the heavens, let me raise my throne above the stars of El, and let me sit in the mount of meetings on the sides of the north. Let me go up above the heights of the clouds, let me be like the Most High. Let me be like the Most High. Satan has already told us that he's going to exalt his throne above the Most Highs. He will appear even as an angel of light. Will not even so his minions appear as ministers of light? Are they not attempting to replace Yah? Are they not attempting to move Yah from his throne? Don't sit here and think that these wicked people do not have power and authority. Satan has rule over the earth, right? And he wants to be like the Most High, right? Verse 11, he says, back in your old 38:11, and said, hitherto shall thy come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed. Yah gave a command for the waters to wave, but you're stayed here. Here's your limit. You don't go past your limit. So Satan, who wants to be like the Most High, what does he do? He creates a storm, and he agitates the sea, and they chemicalize and they manipulate the weather and the patterns of the waves, so that they even disobey where they are stayed. In this, because we think we know something, but we don't know the truth. Just because we know something doesn't make it the truth. But I'm here to tell you today that these people will do whatever it takes to defile Israel, to keep us disobedient, and to keep us from knowing, first of all, who he is, second of all, who we are. Verse 12. Hast thou commanded the morning? Okay. Now I want to stop right there. Verse 12. I'm going to stop right there. Okay. So this word morning, right? It's boker. Okay. It's properly dawn, or the break of day. Some of us are sitting here talking about 24-hour cycles. Yes, are there 24-hour cycles in a quote-unquote yom, a day? Yes, there are. But a day starts in the break of day, or the dawn, or the boker. The boker. The reason why we say boker tov, right? Good dawn, really, is what it should be. Good dawn. Because we talked about that M word, right? There's nothing good about morning. Morning is not a good thing. But once again, these are the spells, these are the words, the darkness of counsel without knowledge, right, that we receive and we know and we think is true. And just because we quote unquote allegedly know something does not make it true. Right? Thou hast commanded the boker since the yom, the day, and caused day spring, dawn, all right, this is shakar, dawn, to know his place, right? To know, to yada, to know his place. The dawn knows its place. Verse 13. that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. Listen, let me stop right here. We can sit and argue and debate and rationalize and go on what we know, thinking it's the truth. Or we can do our due diligence in attempting to try to get in our proper position as the boker is in its proper position, is in its place, right? So that when Yah shakes, the wicked might be shaken out. We're looking for remedy. Your remedy is in verse 13. You got to know that you know what you know is the emat, the truth of Almighty Yah. You have to know that what Yah said is true. Empirically, philosophically, whatever means that you're attempting to justify this truth, this evidence, and this belief. There are so many people who are out here who are teaching, who are not spending time in the Word and not have a direct relationship with Almighty Yah. It's important and imperative for us to get ourselves together, because we're in some very serious time. It has become so freaking blatant. These people are so blatant. How are you going to tell me that the file is sitting on the desk 2 months ago and now all of a sudden there ain't no file? Would that make you a liar? Or you think we dumb? You think we stupid? Stop putting your trust in man and seek Yah for yourself. It's important and imperative to understand that, hey, listen, I need to know. I need to know like my life depends upon it. You know why? Because it does. Y'all sitting here, you know, listen, there was a brother who kind of mentored us for a minute. And one of the things, and everything he said, I didn't agree with. But there's some things that I now understand why he said what he said. He said, stop playing. Don't joke with the people of Yah. And the reason why is because when you speak, you need to speak with authority. When you speak, you need to speak the emat. When you speak, you need to speak truthfully. And you need to do your due diligence so that when you say what you say, the people will hear. And if they choose to do or not to do, you have accomplished what you accomplished. But don't let your silliness, your foolishness be the reason why they miss the word. Why they miss the emat, why they miss the truth, and they don't have proper relationship with Almighty Yah. It's just that plain and just that simple. Either we choose to yada Yah, or we don't. There's just so much that's just packed right here. I mean, I really want to break this down more. I really do. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, I have to allow y'all to lead me, and we'll go from here. Because it's important and imperative that we get what Yah wants to say, not what I want to say, what Yah wants to say. And the reason why is because we're living in such deceptive times that there are things that we think we know that we do not know. Because it ain't the truth. And some of us, we might miss it. You just might. I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. We have to see.